Hi, and welcome to this week's Young and Limitless podcast. Today, I will be interviewing Chandra. She's a retired nurse and a retired shiatsu practitioner. So, hi, Chandra. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm okay. You're very happy tonight.
What can we do for each other tonight?
Okay, so the podcast is aimed at young women 14 to 18. And I was just wondering, when you were that age, I know you grew up in Trinidad, what was your favorite food?
My favorite food was curry.
What kind of curry?
Curry vegetables.
Oh, vegetables like we'd find in England or different kind of vegetables?
You can't find it in England now, in the Asian shops.
Okay, what kind
Some
of
of it.
vegetables? What kind of vegetables?
You, oh, well, pumpkin, nice pumpkin, pak choy, shatine, but you never find the shatine here.
And so I know that you're a good cook. So have you been able to cook like, does it taste like when you were a teenager?
No, because I don't have the coconut milk. Well, though I can get a coconut milk now, but it's not fresh and it's not as nice coming out from a tin.
What kind of music did you listen to when you were growing up?
Calypso and Indian music.
How old were you when you came to the UK?
19.
Wow. And what was your first experience of Britain?
It was cold and everybody was just walking and doing their own thing, and it was so strange. And you're looking at people and they're not acknowledging you are there. It's like
Okay.
it was a fog, like this morning, the big fog that you were there, but nobody noticed you.
And why do you think people didn't notice you?
I had no idea at the time.
And what do you think now?
Well, the fog is lifted, but it could lift a bit more.
Okay. What's another word for the fog?
To be seen, to acknowledge there's another person standing there who around. There's another presence there.
Okay. So you said you came when you were 19,
Mm-hmm.
and that would have been, what year would that have been?
1969.
Wow. So now we know when you were born. so, so you came almost as a young person, an older young person.
Uh-huh.
And would you say that you were equipped for such an amazing life-changing experience?
No, I wasn't savvy in life at all.
So if you could like go back to that 19-year-old self and give her a little bit of advice, what would you say to her?
Look around more and see what's going on before you tread the water, Put your big toe in and walks, take it one day at a time, but change. Don't just go, be afraid. Be more assertive in certain things.
Mm-hmm. And so going back to when you first arrived in the UK, that was a very different time than it is now. That was a
Mm-hmm.
long time ago. So would you give that younger you any advice pertinent to that time? Because the advice you just said is good for all of, it's just a good old age. It's good for all ages.
But the thing is that going back, if I knew what it was, I may not have come. Because the food
Okay.
was completely different. Food was tasteless. And I remember Trinidad is very hot and it was cold and you didn't know anybody here.
Okay. And were there many people who looked like you?
Only when I went in the hospital to do my training then. But they were all Mauritians.
So, as a 19-year-old,
Mm.
what were your first experiences? What did you learn first about who you are in this different country?
A complete outsider. I felt lost and lonely, and if I could go back home, I would have gone back home, but I know I couldn't.
Why couldn't you go back home?
My parents couldn't afford to take it back.
Okay. So how did you do with feeling lost and lonely?
I it's you make work for you, and you made do with whatever there was. And although there were Mauritians in the hospital, it wasn't like I didn't fit in. They were my
Okay.
coloring, but it still didn't fit in.
So when you said you made do, what do you mean you made do?
I did my training. I went in the wards. I worked. I followed what everybody else were doing, and I just, I gradually got used to what I was doing, and there were one or two white people who helped to push me along, but that was far and few between.
Okay. So at what point would you say that you did kind of fit in?
Uh, I never really felt actually fit in. It's, it's just you just pushed yourself and you move with whatever was going on. And when you saw, well, people were rejecting or people just ignored you, you kind of back away, but you didn't show people how you feel. You kept it to yourself.
And then what did you do with those feelings that you kept to yourself?
I just kept it. I didn't know any other outlet, so you just kept it.
Do you still have those feelings now?
No, as I got older, I saw, it was kind of prejudice and racist, and it's a new place, and you have to go with the flow. When in Rome, so you just went with the flow. You try to
Okay.
make do with everything that was there,
Mm-hmm.
and you work hard. You did your work. People had to, you adjusted other people's way of living.
So what kind of nurse were you?
General nurse. Nursing, I had two jobs, so it was difficult to work full time in the sheds and work in the hospital. So, and once I retired from nursing, I worked for 5 extra years with my shiatsu, and then I thought, that's it. Time for me.
Mm-hmm. So, uh, yeah, it's time for you. I know you've got a granddaughter. What advice would you give her as she navigates her way through this kind of next decade coming up?
It's difficult to talk. If she asks the questions, I try to answer her truthfully, but mom and dad has to start it first. The parents has
What?
the right to.
Mm-hmm. But if you could like write down one piece of advice for her and put it in an envelope for when she's 16 or something,
Oh goodness,
what
that's a
would you?
difficult one.
Yeah, it is a difficult question. That's true.
Be herself. Be true to herself.
How?
She will have to know how to be true to herself.
How will she know how to be true to herself?
she has grown up in a happy environment. She has people she can talk to. She comes here when she's fed up and she talks a lot. So she will know. And she knows pressure point. She knows she can work around that. So
Okay, brilliant. Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
no. Would you want to ask any more questions?
I'm just wanting to know if you want to add anything. I know that
No.
we can't find you anywhere because you're retired,
Uh-huh.
so you no longer are
No, no
available
more
for anything.
practicing. No.
You can just be a
Except for my
grandma.
grandchildren. Except for
Yes,
my grandchildren.
yes. Okay, brilliant.
Okay.
So thank you very much, Chandra, for your time. It's been a pleasure and an honor to interview you and draw some of your wisdom out to share with other people. So thank you. So thanks guys for listening. If you want to find out more, you can follow me on Instagram on Young Limitless Podcast, all one word. Okay, thanks guys. Take care. Bye-bye.